Okay, this is another ridiculously late night video for me, but it's really interesting because I'm doing this every day and I'm starting to notice that it doesn't feel complete without at least turning on the camera and doing some talking each day. So I can't go to sleep until I share a few ahas from today. We played a house concert tonight. It's very special. It's an intimate group that gets together every month with a different performer, and the first half is the featured performer, and then the second half is basically an open mic, and whoever comes can play. And then everyone plays together at the end. And it's our second time at this venue. And it occurred to me tonight, the aha I wrote in my art journal when I came home was, oh, I get it. It's not about finding an audience, it's about finding myself. Not in the go off and find yourself way, but in the way that each of us has the sacred obligation to, that we choose to or not, to find our unique voice. And we don't just find it like one day we dig a hole in the ground and then pull out a box of treasure, open it, and there's gold coins in it, and that's it. At least in my experience. Finding our unique voice is this step-by-step, gradual becoming process. Connecting with our being and expanding into becoming one breath at a time. So it's this pulsating sphere of being that becomes with each inspiration. And it's not a static destination to find your unique voice. It's this pulsating way of being and becoming, living. And so with every single act of going inside, bringing it out, sharing it, feeling the feeling of sharing, and then that becomes a new part of your being, that cycle is the finding. And along the way, who we touch is our service. And so the aha for me was about, it really doesn't even matter who cares, how many people are there, whether they like me or not. It's the fact that I found something from within me that was of value enough to voice it into the world and have it be seen and heard by me, first of all, but by whomever encounters it, by the world at large. And it kind of connects back to my second aha, which was arriving back home tonight after the concert and finding on my doorstep a package that included the Bolster Bag by Koyono, which is the Kickstarter project that was created by my friend J.U. back from my Cleveland days, who's been a lifelong diehard entrepreneur, always passionate about his next idea, very talented and forward thinking in his design, was doing like the hipster urban metrosexual look back, way before that was cool. And his Kickstarter campaign was a goal of like $10,000, and it got to $175,000 when it closed. And then we've been watching, as the backers, we've been watching that process of actually having, manufacturers fall through because they couldn't actually deliver on his design as promised, and him switching manufacturers and managing this whole process after getting funded of sort of shepherding that success into reality as a material product and really following it through to completion. And he's been really generous and professional in his communications with all of us about the challenges, the frustrations, the delays, and finally the completion. And so to see this bag arrive on my doorstep was like, yes, like a collective yes. And it was everything about crowdfunding and community that they talk about, and that explains the enormous impact of Kickstarter. But I finally got to feel it with someone I knew, someone I've, followed over the years. And Jay's story about it is that when we ended up meeting serendipitously in Salt Lake City 2 years ago. I was a reader reporter for Backpacker magazine. He was there scouting to make this bag, actually. And he told me about it. I think he was wearing a prototype. I was like, that's cool, I love it. And his story is that conversation was pivotal for him feeling confident in going forward with the actual Kickstarter. So I've always loved that. I love seeing an idea become reality. It's what I loved about seed stage venture investing. When I first got exposed to it in medical school, watching a technology, an idea kind of walk through its lifetime from imagination into reality and everything that went into that. I loved being part of that. That's the part I loved about being a venture capitalist. I didn't quite grasp the love of money enough, or the respect for that as a tool enough, but I'm learning now. I see that, and it's part of my path to come back into right relationship with money. And I loved, when I was a teacher, I loved the seed stage investing of teaching 3-year-olds at this ripe stage in their lives when everything was possible, and they're just sponges, and you just put anything in front of them and everything is possible. They have no concept of what's hard or easy. They just do it. And it's awesome. So I love the pluripotential stage of the beginnings of things and the seeds of things. And I'm learning how to be a good cultivator through practice. But I think that my big ignition point of huge passion is that seed becoming flower stage. I just like that emergence and that transformation, and I love being there to see that happen. And the final thing that I will say is that I really had this moment, because what I realized after we played is that basically the entire room was also musicians, and it's because everyone basically got up and did a couple songs each after our performance tonight. And I really got the feeling that we don't do our art to accumulate numbers, either numbers of fans, numbers of albums, numbers of works, numbers of dollars. We don't do it ultimately for that as human beings. Obviously, we each have our own individual motivation for doing anything, but I see sort of the universal purpose for making things that are expressions of our individuality, or at least our capacity for expression, is to experience and reach into those corners of ourselves that really have no other form that can achieve that same frequency, meaning vibrational frequency, not numerical, but that feeling of what it's like to sing a song. It's not the same as riding a bike. It's not better or worse. It's just different and necessary to have that unique combination of feelings and sensations in the body. And that's it. And so to discover that you have the capacity for any particular kind of expression is the purpose of life. And I don't know, it just clicked with me that this is what life is about. It's not about any of the other stuff that somehow it's so easy to get confused by. Me, myself totally included. Like, how have I gotten confused into believing that this is about finding a way to make a living, building up a follower base, finding an audience, finding the tribe. It's like, that's the outcome. It's actually the byproduct of doing the real work, the internal work of finding that stillness and the courage and mustering all of that, all of those ingredients that it takes to arrive at the point of singing your song, offering your voice, showing up with your gifts, being brave enough to do it the way you truly desire. That's the purpose of life. And then when you do that, all the rest of that is so natural. It can't not happen when you're really there with your unique voice. If you're holding back at all, could be blocked. But I just really am seeing that when we really hit that stride of flow, and we're consistently having the courage to be our unique voice in the world. There's all of the rest of the stuff that we occupy ourselves with is distraction and delude ourselves into believing are the actual goals happen in the right way for us. And that's my story, and I stand by it.